Think you know everything about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Think again. Behind Will Smith's iconic sitcom lies a treasure trove of bizarre secrets. A mysterious cab driver whose identity remains unknown to this day. A hidden burn book where cast members wrote gossip about each other, and the shocking reason why Jazz's ejection scene was recycled dozens of times. From Will Smith's embarrassing habit that made him unwatchable in early episodes to the show's unexpected popularity in one of America's most controversial prisons, these mind-blowing revelations will make you see Carlton's dance moves and Uncle Phil's mansion in a completely different light. Here are the 15 weird facts you didn't know about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fact 1. The cast kept a secret gossip diary. Long before Regina George and her crew terrorized North Shore High School with their burn book in Mean Girls, the cast and crew of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had their own version of backstage drama documentation. Hidden away in a drawer inside the kitchen island on the show's set, the Fresh Prince family maintained what was essentially a real-life burn book, where cast members and crew could anonymously write whatever was on their minds about their fellow colleagues. This wasn't just idle chatter or harmless notes between friends. The diary contained genuine gossip and complaints about cast members, with entries like "James is getting on my nerves" appearing regularly throughout the show's 6-year run from 1990 to 1996. Anyone working on the production could contribute to this secret collection of behind-the-scenes drama, from the main stars to the production assistants and camera operators. The contents weren't limited to workplace grievances either. Cast and crew members would also fill the pages with silly poetry, random thoughts, and less controversial notes about their daily experiences on set. It became a sort of communal diary where people could express their frustrations, share jokes, or just document the chaos of working on a hit television show. After the series wrapped up and the set was dismantled, actress Karen Parsons, who played the ditzy socialite Hilary Banks, managed to rescue this piece of television history and kept it as a memento from her time on the show. Years later, during interviews about the show's legacy, Parsons revealed the existence of this hidden diary and mentioned that she still has it in her possession. The timing makes this discovery even more interesting when you consider that Mean Girls, the movie that popularized the concept of a burn book filled with gossip and cruel observations about classmates, wouldn't hit theaters until 2004, a full 8 years after The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ended its run. It turns out that Will Smith and his television family were ahead of their time when it came to documenting workplace drama in a secret book. Fact 2. Will Smith visibly mouthed everyone's lines. Will Smith's perfectionist approach to his very first acting role created one of the most embarrassing habits that still haunts him decades later. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air began filming in 1990, Smith was so determined to nail his performance that he took an unusual approach to memorizing his lines. Instead of just learning his own dialogue like most actors do, Smith memorized the entire script for every episode, including every single line that his co-stars were supposed to say. This extreme preparation method seemed like a good idea in theory, but it created a major problem when the cameras started rolling. During filming, Smith would unconsciously mouth along with his fellow actors as they delivered their lines, essentially acting as a human teleprompter for dialogue he had already memorized. The habit was so noticeable that it was clearly visible to viewers watching at home, turning what should have been natural conversations into awkward moments where one actor was silently repeating everyone else's words. The issue became particularly obvious during scenes with guest stars like Don Cheadle, who played Will's friend Ice Tray from Philadelphia in Season 1. If you watch Episode 5 of the first season titled Homeboy, Sweet Homeboy, you can clearly see Smith's mouth moving along with Cheadle's dialogue throughout their scenes together. His co-stars Karen Parsons and Tatiana Ali later called him out on this behavior during the show's reunion special, with Parsons revealing that Smith had never done this during rehearsals, but started mouthing her lines during the actual filming in front of the live studio audience. Smith himself has admitted that watching those early episodes is almost physically painful for him now. During a 2017 appearance on The Graham Norton Show, he confessed that he cannot bear to watch the first 4 or 5 episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because his line-mouthing habit is so obvious and distracting. He described the experience as disgusting and acknowledged that his performances during that period were horrible due to his inexperience and over-eager preparation methods. It took him several weeks to break this habit and start acting more naturally with his scene partners. Fact 3. Jazz's ejection was shot 150+ times. One of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's most beloved running gags came at a much higher physical cost than anyone could have imagined. The iconic scene where Uncle Phil grabs Jazz and literally throws him out of the front door became such a popular moment that it appeared in multiple episodes throughout the series, but what viewers didn't know was that the footage they were seeing was recycled from one incredibly brutal filming session. DJ Jazzy Jeff, who played Will's best friend Jazz on the show, endured what can only be described as a marathon of physical comedy when they filmed the ejection scene. The production team shot the sequence over 150 times in a single day, with Jeff getting thrown out of the house again and again until they captured the perfect take. While the show had safety measures in place to protect the actor during these stunts, there's only so much padding and preparation that can prevent the inevitable wear and tear of being physically tossed around for hours on end. By the time filming wrapped up for the day, Jeff was covered in bruises and completely exhausted from the repeated impact of landing outside the house. The physical toll was so significant that when it came time to film future episodes that called for Jazz to get thrown out, Jeff made it clear that he wasn't interested in going through that ordeal again. This led the producers to make a practical decision that would become part of the show's visual continuity for years to come. Instead of putting Jeff through another day of physical punishment, the production team simply reused the same footage of him being ejected whenever the script called for Uncle Phil to lose his patience with Jazz. This explains why viewers always see Jazz wearing the exact same brown and white Aztec-patterned shirt whenever he gets thrown out, regardless of what he was wearing when he entered the house earlier in the episode. The wardrobe department made sure that whenever Jazz was scheduled for an ejection scene, they would have him change into that specific shirt so the recycled footage would match seamlessly with the new material they were filming. Fact 4. The cab driver's identity remains a mystery. One of television's most enduring mysteries involves a character who appears for just a few seconds in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's opening credits. Yet his true identity has stumped fans and researchers for over 3 decades. The cab driver who picks up Will Smith in Philadelphia and delivers the memorable line, "Smell ya later," before driving him to his new life in Bel-Air, has never been officially identified, despite countless attempts by viewers to solve this puzzle. The most persistent theory among fans claims that the mysterious cabbie is actually Quincy Jones, the legendary music producer who served as executive producer on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This rumor became so widespread that it's still repeated as fact across social media and entertainment websites today, with some people even posting side-by-side comparison photos as supposed evidence. The theory makes sense on the surface since Jones was heavily involved in the show's creation and had the influence to insert himself into the opening sequence as a fun cameo. However, this popular belief has been definitively debunked by multiple sources close to the production. DJ Jazzy Jeff, Will Smith's real-life friend and frequent guest on the show, has called this claim an urban legend and stated emphatically that the cab driver was not Quincy Jones. Even more convincing evidence comes from Quincy Jones's own daughter, Rashida Jones, and Jada Pinkett Smith, who have both publicly denied that the music mogul appeared in the opening credits in any capacity. What makes this mystery even more intriguing is that despite all the attention and speculation over the years, no one has been able to provide the actual identity of the actor who played the cab driver. The man appears to be wearing sunglasses in the scene, which makes visual identification more difficult. and the production records from 1990 apparently don't contain clear documentation about who was cast in this small but memorable role. Some entertainment industry insiders suggest he was likely just a day player or extra who was hired for the shoot. But without proper documentation, even this explanation remains purely speculative. The cab driver's identity continues to be one of those small but fascinating unsolved mysteries that keeps fans digging for answers decades after the show ended. Fact 5. Will Smith owed $2.8 million to the IRS. The role that launched Will Smith into superstardom wasn't actually his dream job or artistic ambition, but rather a financial lifeline that saved him from complete bankruptcy. When Smith was offered the starring role in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1990, he was facing a massive financial crisis that had spiraled completely out of control, owing the Internal Revenue Service a staggering $2.8 million in unpaid taxes from his successful music career. Smith had achieved significant fame and fortune as part of the hip-hop duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and The Fresh Prince during the late 1980s, earning Grammy Awards and substantial income from their hit songs and performances. However, like many young entertainers who suddenly find themselves with large amounts of money, Smith made poor financial decisions and failed to properly manage his tax obligations. He spent his earnings freely without setting aside money for taxes, and his failure to pay what he owed to the government eventually caught up with him in a devastating way. By the time producer Quincy Jones approached him about starring in a television sitcom, Smith was facing the very real possibility of declaring bankruptcy and losing everything he had worked for in his music career. The IRS had already begun seizing his possessions and assets to recover the money he owed, leaving him with few options to resolve his dire financial situation. Taking the television role wasn't just an opportunity to try acting, it was literally his only chance to avoid complete financial ruin. The financial pressure didn't end when Smith signed his contract for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air either. For the first 3 years of the show's run, the IRS garnished 70% of Smith's television salary to pay down his massive tax debt. This meant that despite starring in one of the most popular sitcoms on television, Smith was only keeping 30 cents out of every dollar he earned from the show during those crucial early seasons. The irony wasn't lost on anyone involved in the production that the actor playing a character who had moved in with wealthy relatives was himself struggling financially behind the scenes, working primarily to pay off his debts to the federal government. Fact 6. Carlton Dance came from 2 sources. The Carlton Dance, one of the most iconic and enduring pieces of pop culture choreography from the 1990s, wasn't actually an original creation, but rather a clever combination of 2 very different dance inspirations that Alfonso Ribeiro blended together to create his character's signature moves. When the script for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air simply stated Carlton Dances, Ribeiro had complete creative freedom to interpret what that meant, and he drew from some unexpected sources to develop the awkward yet lovable routine that would follow him for the rest of his career. The primary inspiration for the Carlton Dance came from Courtney Cox's performance in Bruce Springsteen's 1984 music video for Dancing in the Dark. In that famous video, Cox was pulled from the audience onto the stage to dance with Springsteen, and her enthusiastic but somewhat stiff dance moves caught Ribeiro's attention years later when he was developing his character. Cox's dancing style in the video had a particular quality that seemed perfect for Carlton's preppy, uptight personality, with movements that were energetic but lacked the natural rhythm and coolness that you might expect from professional dancers. The second major influence came from Eddie Murphy's stand-up comedy special, Delirious, specifically a routine where Murphy demonstrated what he called the white man dance. Murphy's comedic impression of how white people dance was exaggerated and deliberately awkward, emphasizing stiff movements and a complete lack of natural rhythm. Ribeiro found this routine hilarious and saw it as the perfect complement to Cox's moves from the Springsteen video. When Ribeiro combined these 2 sources, He created something that was intentionally corny and awkward, but also undeniably entertaining. In interviews, he has explained that his goal was to find the corniest dance on the planet for Carlton to perform, and by mixing Cox's earnest enthusiasm with Murphy's satirical take on awkward dancing, he achieved exactly that. The dance was typically performed to Tom Jones's song, "It's Not Unusual," and it became so popular that Ribeiro was still performing variations of it decades later when he won Dancing with the Stars in 2014. Fact 7. The show became Guantanamo Bay's favorite. In one of the most unexpected cultural developments of 2012, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air achieved an unusual distinction by becoming the most requested form of entertainment among the detainees at the Guantanamo Bay detention facility in Cuba. This surprising shift in viewing preferences was documented by prison librarian Milton, a Defense Department contractor who managed the facility's extensive entertainment collection and witnessed firsthand how Will Smith's 1990s sitcom had captured the attention of the 168 prisoners being held at the controversial military prison. For several years leading up to 2012, the Harry Potter book series had dominated the entertainment requests at Guantanamo Bay, with detainees regularly asking for J.K. Rowling's novels about the boy wizard and his adventures at Hogwarts. The popularity of these books made sense given their themes of imprisonment, escape, and triumph over adversity, which likely resonated with people living in detention. However, by 2012, this literary phenomenon had been completely overshadowed by the demand for episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The popularity of the show became so overwhelming that Milton had to order all 6 seasons of the series on DVD to meet the constant requests from prisoners who wanted to watch Will Smith's journey from West Philadelphia to the mansion in Bel-Air. The facility's entertainment system was well equipped to handle these requests, with the main library housing 18,000 books, 2,730 movies, 390 video games, and over 1,000 magazines that could be delivered to prisoners' cells or recreation areas upon request. Detainees were separated into different security levels based on their cooperation with guards, but regardless of their classification, all prisoners had access to the library's entertainment offerings. Those in less restrictive environments could watch shows on communal televisions with screens encased in protective plexiglass, while prisoners in solitary confinement had individual televisions installed in their cells specifically for viewing movies and television programs. The prison's entertainment program was considered an important part of maintaining order and providing mental stimulation for long-term detainees, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had apparently found its way to the top of that priority list. Fact 8. Nike created laceless Jordans. Inspired by Will Smith's unconventional approach to wearing sneakers on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, became so culturally significant that it inspired Nike to create an entirely new product nearly 3 decades later. Throughout the show's run, Smith's character consistently wore his Air Jordan 5 sneakers without laces, creating a distinctive look that became part of his on-screen persona and helped establish the relaxed, effortless style that defined the Fresh Prince character. This fashion choice was particularly noticeable with the purple and white grape colorway of the Air Jordan 5, which appeared in multiple episodes and became strongly associated with the show. The laceless look wasn't just a random styling decision, but became an integral part of Will's character development and visual identity on the series. Smith would slip his feet into the high-top basketball shoes without bothering to thread laces through the eyelets, creating a casual appearance that perfectly matched his character's laid-back attitude and his fish-out-of-water status in the upscale world of Bel-Air. This styling choice stood out even more because it went against conventional wisdom about how basketball shoes should be worn, making it a memorable visual element that fans associated specifically with the show. In September of 2018, Nike's Jordan brand decided to pay tribute to this iconic fashion moment by releasing a special edition Air Jordan 5 called the Fresh Prince. What made this release truly unique was that the shoes were designed to be worn exactly like Will Smith wore them on television, without any laces at all. The sneakers were manufactured without traditional lace eyelets, making it impossible to thread laces through them even if someone wanted to wear them in the conventional manner. The tribute shoes included several other details that referenced the show, including West Philadelphia, embossed on the tongue of each shoe, and special insoles featuring Air Jordan printed in a graffiti-style font that mimicked the show's urban aesthetic. The release was timed to coincide with Will Smith's 50th birthday celebration, and Nike produced the shoes in limited quantities, making them highly sought after by both sneaker collectors and fans of the television series. The shoes featured the classic Nike Air branding on the heel, maintaining the original 1990 design elements that made the Air Jordan 5 famous during the show's original run. Fact on, Baby Nicki's name referenced Boyz II Men. When the Banks family welcomed their newest member in the later seasons of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the writers decided to give Baby Nicki a name that would serve as an elaborate tribute to one of the most popular R&B groups of the 1990s. The youngest member of the Banks family was officially named Nicholas Andrew Michael Sean Nathan Wanya Banks, creating what might be the longest middle name sequence in television history, while simultaneously honoring all four founding members of the legendary vocal group Boyz II Men. The connection becomes clear when you break down each of Baby Nicki's middle names and match them to the members of Boyz II Men. Michael corresponds to Michael McCary, the group's bass singer who provided the deep vocal foundation for many of their biggest hits. Sean represents Sean Stockman, one of the group's lead vocalists known for his smooth tenor voice. Nathan honors Nathan Morris, another lead vocalist and one of the group's primary songwriters. Finally, Wanya pays tribute to Wanya Morris, Nathan's younger brother and the fourth member of the original lineup, who was known for his powerful vocal range and falsetto abilities. This naming choice wasn't just a random pop culture reference, but reflected the genuine connection between Boyz II Men and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air during the show's peak years. The R&B quartet actually appeared on the show in person, performing at Baby Nicki's christening ceremony in a special episode that aired during the series' later seasons. Their appearance on the show made perfect sense, given that both Boyz II Men and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air represented positive, family-friendly entertainment that celebrated African-American culture during the same time period. The decision to incorporate all four names into Baby Nicki's official moniker created a tongue-twister that became a running joke among fans of the show, with many people attempting to recite the full name quickly without stumbling over the sequence of syllables. The writers clearly enjoyed creating this elaborate musical tribute, and it demonstrated how the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air frequently incorporated contemporary pop culture references into its storylines, helping to cement the show's place as a cultural touchstone of the 1990s that reflected the music, fashion, and entertainment trends of its era. Fact 10. The mansion isn't actually in Bel-Air. Despite the show's title and the entire premise revolving around Will Smith moving to the exclusive neighborhood of Bel-Air, the iconic mansion that served as the Banks family home was actually located several miles away in the equally upscale but distinctly different neighborhood of Brentwood. The producers made this geographical switch for purely practical reasons, but it created one of television's most enduring cases of location confusion that continues to mislead fans and tour groups decades after the show ended. The actual house used for exterior shots throughout the series' 6-year run sits in Brentwood, which is also an affluent area of Los Angeles, but has a completely different character and history compared to Bel-Air. Brentwood is known for its more relaxed, suburban feel and tree-lined streets, while Bel-Air has traditionally been associated with more formal estates and gated communities. Both neighborhoods certainly qualify as wealthy enclaves where a successful lawyer like Uncle Phil could realistically afford to live. but the distinction mattered to location scouts who needed to find the perfect house to represent the Banks family's status and lifestyle. The decision to use a Brentwood mansion instead of an actual Bel Air property came down to finding a house that looked exactly right for the show's visual needs. The colonial-style white mansion with its impressive columns and manicured grounds perfectly captured the image of upper-class success that the show wanted to convey, and its architectural style matched the writer's vision of where Will's wealthy relatives would live. The house's pristine appearance and prominent positioning made it an ideal choice for the establishing shots that appeared in every episode, even though it technically placed the Banks family in the wrong neighborhood. From a practical standpoint, the producers knew that very few viewers would ever notice or care about this geographical detail, and they were absolutely right about that assumption. The name recognition and cultural associations of Bel Air were far more important to the show's concept than the actual physical location of the filming site. After all, The Fresh Prince of Brentwood simply doesn't have the same cultural cache or rhythmic flow as The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and the slight geographic liberty allowed the show to maintain its aspirational image while using the most photogenic mansion available for filming. Fact 11. Will Smith can solve a Rubik's Cube. In one of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air's most memorable academic moments, Will Smith's character impressed a Princeton University admissions interviewer by casually solving a Rubik's Cube during their conversation. But what viewers didn't realize was that this wasn't just good acting or television magic. Smith genuinely possesses the ability to solve the iconic puzzle cube, and the scene was filmed using his actual skills rather than any camera tricks or editing sleight of hand that television productions often rely on to fake complex tasks. The episode titled The Alma Mater featured Will attempting to gain admission to the prestigious Ivy League university, and the writers decided to showcase his intelligence in an unexpected way by having him solve the colorful puzzle while discussing his qualifications with the admissions representative. During the scene, the interviewer is shown fiddling with a scrambled Rubik's Cube before setting it down on his desk, and Will picks it up and begins working on it while maintaining their conversation about his academic background and future goals. The moment was designed to demonstrate that Will's character possessed hidden intellectual abilities that went beyond his street-smart personality and casual attitude toward formal education. By solving the cube seemingly without effort, while engaged in serious academic discussion, the scene showed viewers that Will had the kind of analytical thinking and problem-solving skills that would serve him well at an elite university, even if his unconventional background didn't immediately suggest those capabilities. Smith's real-life ability to solve Rubik's Cubes has been documented on numerous occasions since The Fresh Prince of Bel Air ended, with the actor demonstrating his cube-solving skills during appearances on various talk shows and interviews throughout his career. He has solved the puzzle on camera multiple times, proving that his performance in the Princeton episode was authentic and not the result of television trickery or special preparation for that specific scene. The inclusion of this genuine skill in the episode adds an extra layer of authenticity to the scene that many viewers probably never suspected, and it demonstrates how the show's writers occasionally incorporated the real talents and abilities of their cast members into the storylines rather than requiring them to fake skills they didn't actually possess. Fact 12. Uncle Phil's law firm was a musical pun. The writers of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air demonstrated their love of clever wordplay by giving Uncle Phil's prestigious law firm a name that served as a hidden tribute to one of the most successful funk and R&B groups of all time. Throughout the series, Philip Banks was employed at the law firm of Firth, Wynne and Meyer, a name that sounds appropriately professional and dignified for a high-powered Los Angeles legal practice, but the three partner names were actually a phonetic play on Earth, Wind and Fire, the legendary musical group that dominated the charts throughout the 1970s and 80s. Earth, Wind and Fire was founded in Chicago in 1969 and became one of the most influential bands in popular music history. Known for their distinctive blend of R&B, soul, funk, jazz, and pop that created a unique sound that appealed to audiences across racial and cultural lines. The group achieved massive commercial success with hits like September, Boogie Wonderland, and Let's Groove, and their music was still incredibly popular during the early 1990s when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was being written and produced. The phonetic similarity between the law firm's name and the musical group becomes clear when you break down how each word sounds when spoken aloud. Firth sounds like earth when pronounced quickly in conversation, win is a homophone for wind, and Meyer has the same pronunciation as fire when spoken with certain accents or in casual speech. This type of wordplay was typical of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's writing style, which frequently incorporated contemporary cultural references and inside jokes that would appeal to the show's target audience while maintaining the professional veneer needed for the storylines. The choice to reference earth, wind, and fire specifically made perfect sense for a show that celebrated African American culture and featured music prominently in its storytelling. The group represented the kind of crossover success and positive cultural influence that aligned with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's themes of breaking down barriers and achieving success while maintaining cultural identity. The law firm name served as a subtle nod to musical excellence that most viewers would never notice, but that added an extra layer of cultural appreciation for those who caught the reference. Fact 13. The set had major continuity issues. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air suffered from several glaring continuity problems that eagle-eyed viewers have spotted over the years, with some of the most obvious errors involving both the show's most famous running gag and major changes to the primary set design that happened between episodes. These production inconsistencies reveal how the practical demands of television filming sometimes took precedence over maintaining visual accuracy from scene to scene or episode to episode. The most noticeable continuity issue involved Jazz's eyewear during his frequent ejections from the Banks family home. Whenever DJ Jazzy Jeff's character entered the house wearing regular clear glasses, those glasses would mysteriously transform into dark sunglasses by the time Uncle Phil grabbed him and threw him out the front door. This happened because the production team was reusing the same footage of Jazz being ejected that had been filmed during one marathon session, and in that original footage, Jazz happened to be wearing sunglasses. The directors apparently forgot to account for this detail when they were planning scenes where Jazz would arrive wearing different eyewear, creating a magical transformation that defied logical explanation. An even more dramatic continuity problem occurred with the Banks family living room itself, which underwent a complete redesign between the pilot episode and the rest of the first season. In the very first episode, the back wall of the living room featured two large windows that provided natural light and gave viewers a sense of the mansion's spacious layout. However, starting with the second episode, those windows were replaced with doors that led to other parts of the house, fundamentally changing the room's architecture and flow. Additional set changes included modifications to the hallway layout and the addition of a staircase in the background that hadn't existed in the pilot episode. The dining room entrance also changed from an arched opening in the pilot to a more conventional doorway in subsequent episodes. These alterations were likely made to improve the functionality of the set for filming purposes and to create better sightlines for cameras and lighting equipment, but they created obvious inconsistencies that viewers noticed when watching episodes in sequence. Other continuity errors throughout the series included props that appeared and disappeared between shots, clothing that changed colors or styles within the same scene, and characters' ages that didn't align properly with the show's timeline, all demonstrating how the fast-paced nature of television production sometimes led to oversights that made it into the final broadcast versions. Fact 14. Will Smith met his future wife on set. One of Hollywood's most famous love stories began with a failed audition that ultimately led to a marriage that would become one of the entertainment industry's most talked-about relationships for decades. Jada Pinkett, who was a relatively unknown actress in the early 1990s, auditioned for a recurring role as Will Smith's girlfriend on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But the casting directors rejected her for what might be one of the most superficial reasons in television history. They decided she was too short to be a convincing romantic partner for the 6'2" Will Smith. At only 5 feet tall, Pinkett didn't meet the physical requirements that the producers had in mind for the character, and they felt that the height difference between her and Smith would create visual problems during romantic scenes or make their on-screen relationship appear awkward to viewers. This type of height-based casting decision was fairly common in television and film during that era, when producers often prioritized visual aesthetics over acting ability or chemistry between performers, especially for roles that were primarily romantic in nature. Despite not getting the part she auditioned for, Pinkett's visit to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air set turned out to be one of the most fortunate career moves of her life, though not for the reasons she originally expected. During her time on set for the audition process, she met Will Smith himself, and the two actors developed an immediate connection that went far beyond the professional relationship she had hoped to establish through the television role. Their initial meeting sparked a friendship that gradually evolved into a romantic relationship over the following months, as both actors were working to establish themselves in Hollywood during the same time period. Smith was becoming increasingly famous thanks to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's success, while Pinkett was building her own career with roles in projects like A Different World and various film appearances that would eventually lead to her breakthrough performances in movies like Set It Off and The Nutty Professor. The relationship that began with that rejected audition eventually led to their marriage in 1997, making them one of the most high-profile couples in the entertainment industry. Their union produced 2 children, Jaden and Willow Smith, who both became successful entertainers in their own right, proving that sometimes the most important opportunities come from the jobs you don't get, rather than the ones you do. Fact 15. Google created a secret. Fresh Prince Easter egg. Google's development team demonstrated their appreciation for 1990s nostalgia by creating one of the internet's most elaborate hidden tributes to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, transforming the normally clean and simple search experience into a full-blown celebration of Will Smith's iconic sitcom. This special Easter egg was designed to activate when users search for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and then click on a specific visual element that appears in the search results, launching an interactive experience that recreates the show's distinctive aesthetic and cultural atmosphere. The Easter egg is triggered by clicking on a California license plate that appears in the knowledge panel on the right side of the search results, featuring the word "fresh" in the same style as the license plate from the show's famous opening sequence. Once activated, the entire Google interface transforms dramatically, replacing the standard white background and modern typography with a retro 1990s design scheme that includes graffiti-style fonts, vibrant colors, and visual elements that directly reference memorable moments from the television series. The transformed search page features fictional search results that are filled with jokes and references that only true fans of the show would fully appreciate, including made-up websites and services that play on famous quotes, character names, and plot points from various episodes throughout the series' 6-season run. The page includes animations and sound effects that bring the experience to life, with elements that move across the screen and audio clips that reference the show's most memorable moments and catchphrases. Google initially launched this Easter egg in September of 2020 to commemorate the 30th anniversary of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's debut, though the feature has remained active for users to discover years later. The company has a long history of creating these types of hidden interactive experiences for various cultural touchstones, but the Fresh Prince Easter egg stands out for its attention to detail and the comprehensive way it transforms the entire search interface, rather than just adding a simple animation or sound effect. The Easter egg became so popular after its discovery that it spread rapidly across social media platforms, with users sharing screenshots and videos of the transformed Google page and encouraging their friends to try the experience for themselves, proving that the cultural impact of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air continues to resonate with audiences decades after the show ended.